Welcome to Uplift. Today we are thrilled to be joined by Abby Johnson. Abby Johnson was previously a director of a Planned Parenthood clinic who witnessed the violence of abortion firsthand. Abby since left and has started a group, and then there was none, to help abortion industry workers quit the industry. Abby, thank you for joining us today on Uplift. It's great seeing you. Could you tell us about how you got involved with Planned Parenthood and what it was that prompted you to leave?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I started working at Planned Parenthood actually in college. I was at university and just didn't know much about Planned Parenthood. Honestly, I didn't know really much about, abortion controversy in the United States or around the world. I was pretty young and naive and met a woman who was on campus talking about Planned Parenthood. And, she was really talking about just women's rights in general and, empowering women. And I thought, well, that sounds good, right? That sounds like something that everybody should be on board with. And so I started volunteering actually at the clinic. I started volunteering, and that's sort of how I got involved. And then when I graduated from the university, they asked me if I wanted to go to work for them. And that was it. I mean, once I was hired there, I started getting promoted very quickly, and soon found myself running the abortion clinic where I worked, where I had started volunteering. And, then by that time, I'd already had 2 abortions of my own. So I was very deep into the abortion culture and, and was really promoting abortion to the women who came in, and believed that, by this time, after I'd been there, for several years, I really believed that abortion was the right decision for pretty much every woman who came into our facility.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And from your experience, do you think that when someone starts to experience that they want to leave the abortion industry, what are the pressures from the abortion industry forcing them maybe to stay within the industry?
Yeah. I've told people it's like leaving a cult. When you want to leave the abortion industry, it's like leaving, the mafia or something. It's very difficult. They are, these workers are told that, they will get a bad reference. Even when I left, okay, I left Planned Parenthood, not on bad terms when I left. I had just been awarded their Employee of the Year award, okay, when I left. And then after I left and they found out that I no longer supported abortion, they told the media that I had been a bad employee. They had just given me their Employee of the Year award, okay? And then they told people I was a bad employee. So it's they're willing to lie. They're willing to give you a bad reference, but it's so much worse than that. We had one worker that left, and the owner of the clinic's son on her, as she was leaving the building, he pulled out a gun, put a gun to her head, and said, "If you ever talk about the things that you have seen here, I will come find you and kill you." These workers have seen We've had workers that have walked in and patients have been sedated. They have been, unconscious, sedated, and they have seen doctors raping patients while the patients have been unconscious. They've been threatened. If you ever talk about it, we'll come after you. We'll come find you. We have had to call the police. We've had to get restraining orders. We have had to, take legal action against some of these facilities. We had one woman who worked for a late-term abortion provider that we had to get, legal assistance for and actually call law enforcement because she came home and her entire house had been ransacked. And there was a note in her house that said, this is just the beginning if you continue to talk to pro-lifers. The clinic wanted her to know that they knew where she lived and that they could come into her house. It's not normal what is happening to these workers when they leave. I mean, the clinic sued me, right, when I left, and I did nothing wrong, right? But they wanted to make an example out of me that if you leave us, if you defect from us, if you become a traitor, right, to our organization, then you will find yourself in a courtroom having to defend yourself against us, even though you've done nothing wrong. We're going to get up on the stand and we're going to lie and we're going to do a character assassination of you. And even though we were able to prove very easily that they were lying about me, it was terrifying for me, to have to defend myself against these big, $1,000 an hour attorneys. But that's what they intended to do. And it is very difficult for these workers to just go out on their own. They've seen babies born alive in these clinics and have the back of their neck slit and killed. And so the stuff that they have seen, this like insidious behavior that they have seen inside of these clinics, makes them very vulnerable when they leave because they have seen so much.
Yeah, so they're going to be exposing the truth really of how violent abortion is. And so one question is burning in my mind. Because you've seen such evil, how do you, you suppose, love those people in that industry then, that work in that industry from your point of view? How can you reach them? Because they're, committing such horrendous actions on women as well. I'm talking about the doctors and people who are carrying out this evil work. How do you really reach them?
It's interesting. I mean, we have a woman who is with our ministry now, and I don't know how much the Kermit Gosnell trial was talked about over there, but he's serving life in prison he was an abortionist, and he's serving life in prison for killing babies that were full term. He was delivering full term babies, then slitting their spinal cords in an abortion clinic. And there was a woman who worked for him and was assisting him in that procedure. And she actually turned state's witness, and she did serve almost 3 years in a federal prison for felony murder. And when she got out of prison, she contacted our ministry. And during that time, during the Gosnell case and all of this, we had been fervently praying for all of them, for Dr. Gosnell, for his wife, for all these workers, including this woman who contacted us. We had been praying for all of them by name and praying that they would have an encounter with the Lord that would change their heart. And so one day when I get this phone call from this woman who we had been praying for by name for months and months and months, right? And she tells me her name, and she says, "I don't know if you know who I am." And I said, "Oh my gosh, yes, I know who you are. I've been praying for you for years now." And I have to say, there are many times where, and I say this all the time, there are many times where it is only the Lord that can convert, a hardened heart. It was only the Lord that could have converted my heart. It was not anything that any human could have said, right? Now, there are seeds that are planted through, human words, through our words. Certainly there are seeds that are planted, but it's the Lord, it's the Holy Spirit that does the conversion of heart and softens the heart, right? Turns a heart of stone into a heart of flesh. And when that happens, there can be true repentance. And so this woman who for years was, delivering full-term, helping to deliver full-term babies and then slitting the back of their necks, now has this truly softened heart for the preborn, for children, for their mothers, and has this repentant heart and is so in love with the Lord. And that's only something that God can do.
It's truly miraculous. And so you've described in your own journey how sidewalk counsellors from Prolife Vigils have a huge part in helping you from being director of Planned Parenthood clinic to pro-life advocates. So currently in the UK at the moment, abortion activists are pushing to criminalise pro-life vigils, and that will ensure that women and girls who are, blocked from receiving any alternative to abortion or support entering abortion facilities. In your opinion, how valuable are pro-life vigils, and what would you say to those who are trying to criminalise them here in the UK?
Well, I think the fact that they are trying to criminalize them shows you just how effective they are, right? If they weren't effective, then they would just ignore them and they wouldn't be trying to criminalize them. So I think that in itself shows how effective they are. We know here in the United States, they're incredibly effective. We have an organization here, Sidewalk Advocates for Life, that just in the past few years has seen over 18,000 babies saved outside of abortion clinics. And these are women who, had abortion appointments, right? But because they were given information, alternatives to abortion, they ended up, leaving, turning around. I think the bottom line is that a lot of women are walking into abortion clinics feeling like abortion is their only option, not because they want to have an abortion, but because they really don't know about all of the alternatives out there. And they don't know that there's so much help available to them, and so much help really available from the pro-life movement. And so, once they understand that there are these alternatives available, once they understand that there are people out there who are willing to help them, then they recognize this really isn't the decision that I want to make. And, I can tell you just personally, from someone who goes out to the clinic to pray and to be a sidewalk advocate, there have been many times where, women have had abortion appointments and then they come up to me and they go, I was praying for a sign not to do this. And I drove up to the clinic and I see you out here praying and you're my sign, right? Like you're my sign not to have this abortion. And, women, I think most women really don't, a lot of them really don't want to have an abortion. They just feel like they don't have any other option. And so that's what we're out there to do, is to really provide choice, And so the fact that these supposedly pro-choice advocates are trying to take away choice, these people that are trying to criminalize people from being on, being in front of abortion facilities, I would really invite them to check their heart on on what they really believe, because I would say that they're not really pro-choice. I would say that they are indeed pro-abortion, and they need to call themselves pro-abortion. If they are against people standing outside and offering women information, alternatives to abortion, then they are not pro-choice. They are simply for abortion. They are simply pro-abortion, because nobody should be against choice. And that's what these advocates in front of abortion clinics are offering. They're offering true choice.
Yeah, so true. And what would you say to any abortion worker here in the UK who does genuinely believe that their work helps support women and girls?
I would say that they need to, when I worked in the clinic, I really didn't believe that women regretted their abortion, because those weren't the women that were coming back to us, right? Women had abortions and then they never came back to us if they regretted their abortion. When you're hurt by a particular entity, you don't go back to that place where you were victimized or traumatized, right? They went to pregnancy centers who would really help them, right? And so I really didn't believe that women were harmed by abortion. I heard pro-life people say that, but I didn't believe it was true. But the reality is that there are millions of women out there that tell their stories, that have been hurt by abortion, physically harmed, emotionally harmed. And so what I always tell abortion clinic workers who are still there, and actually pro-choice advocates, is I tell them, go look up the stories, Google abortion regret, right? And listen to the stories, read the stories of these women who are suicidal, who have eating disorders, who suffer chronic depression, anxiety, who can't have children because they deal with, infertility, who had, physical complications, who had uterine perforation, who were in the hospital, who suffered from sepsis. Listen to these women. This is the same group. Pro-choice advocates are the same movement who are out here saying, believe women, listen to women, listen to their stories. Well, you know what? Listen to our stories. Listen to the stories of women who have had abortions and then later came to regret it. Believe us. Believe our stories. Believe that abortion is really not good for women. Believe us when we say that we were harmed by abortion, physically and or emotionally. Our experiences deserve to be heard too. And so, if somebody's working in an abortion clinic, they need to go and listen to women who have been hurt. Listen to how you have been harming women. Listen, look at the evidence that's out there. Listen to these women who can no longer have children because of your actions, because of what you have been doing, because of what you have been facilitating inside of these clinics. Part of that is on you. And you have to take responsibility for that.
Indeed, indeed, it's very true. And so, how has it been since Roe v. Wade has been overturned? How have you been preparing for the reality now of what's been going on in America? As we're all kind of curious to know what's it really like over there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the U.S. has been preparing for, quite some time for the overturn of Roe. The pro-life movement has been preparing. We had sort of a test case, I guess, in Texas with the heartbeat bill. Surprisingly, we have not had all of these women dying. Like the pro-abortion movement said we would, just women just falling out, dying everywhere. From not having access to abortion. Women seem to be doing just fine. So women are getting care overwhelmingly. They're getting care from pregnancy centers, the over 3,000 pregnancy centers that we have in the United States. They're getting tremendous care, wonderful care from these pregnancy centers. Pregnancy centers are expanding their care for these women, which is great. They've already been sort of on track to do that for the past few years in preparation for Roe being overturned. There's of course going to be, some state by state battles. So, states are going to have to gear up for that. We have a midterm election in November, so we'll see how that plays out. But really, in the United States, and I think this is sort of globally, people are more concerned about the economy than they are abortion rights. So, there's a lot of women, there's a lot of sort of, blue and purple haired women who, go around and, do weird things and protest, talking about abortion rights. But by and large, even the more liberal leftist community, when it comes down to voting, most of them are more concerned about their wallet, and that's how they vote, than they are concerned about killing babies in the womb. So, I think that the fact that, we have a crazy inflation, we have a crazy rise of inflation right now in the United States. Gas prices are astronomical. I think that is going to make more of a difference when it comes to our midterm elections than what's going on with abortion.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, and one last question then. What would be, I suppose, something that would give hope to women who've, like you, in your similar situation, who've had abortions? What is something that gave you hope during the toughest time, of your life? Have you any inspiration there?
I think that God wastes nothing in our lives. He, I'm a person who facilitated over 22,000 abortions. I've had 2 abortions of my own. And I have seen God make good of all of my sins. I have seen him, use all of my past sins for his glory. And he can do that for everyone. He wants to do that for everyone. He doesn't want us to, sit around wallowing in our past. He's not there in our past, right? He's here in our present. And, he gives us a gift every day when we wake up. And he gives us, the gift of today. And he wants us to use this day for him. And so that gives me great hope that I can use today to do something for God. And then I have great hope that um that one day God is going to grant me the mercy to see my children again. And not only the children I aborted, but also the child that I miscarried. And so I have, great hope that I will one day be reunited with those children in God's mercy. And so, we serve a really amazing, forgiving, merciful God. And that should give us great hope that we don't have to live in the bondage of our sin or in our past, that He wants us to be free of that. And He wants us to live in freedom and in peace.
Great. Thank you so much, Abby, for that. And thank you for joining us. Your story is incredibly powerful and it's helping change hearts and minds all over the place. So thank you again for sharing, and thank you for joining me virtually. And hopefully, you never know, we could meet one day. The world is a small place. Yeah, it'd be great to see you in person. So yeah, thank you again for joining us and and sharing your story.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Join us again next week where you'll hear from more influential guests.